The folks at Jinko Fishing not only bring you the Low Budget Live podcast, they bring you all the action, like the insane rolling action the new Don minnow has for all you minnow shakers out there. And if you're looking for a big minnow, which seems to be taking over bass fishing these days, look no further than the Don Senior. This big 6-inch minnow profile has entered the chat in a big way, available in some amazing colors. Pair it up on that Revolution jig head that's got a bait keeper so good you can throw your super glue in the trash. Gaff technology hook, when it drives in there, it just keeps on driving until that fish is in your hands. Check them out at jinkofishing.com and use code LBL25. That's right, LBL25 saves you 25% off just for being a lowlifer at jinkofishing.com. Now hang the banner. That Bassmaster Classic winning banner, the first ever aluminum bass boat to take a ride in a Bassmaster Classic arena with a classic trophy, the Express X21 Pro. And now they have changed the game again with the new XR21, a high-performance rig like you have never seen. 250 Yamaha show on the back of that bad boy. More tackle storage than you can shake a stick at. Still the best hole shot in the game. If you've got a dealer close to you, go check one out. If you don't, drive a little further and get yourself behind the wheel of an XR21. You can thank me later. Express Boats, building excitement since 1966.
Damn these
them.
Biloxi blues, it happens every night. And I
Every
ain't
old night.
never met a riverboat dealer that could ever be a friend of mine.
No, I haven't. I have not.
The summer heat never treats me kind, it leaves trouble on my mind. So I'm bidding farewell, putting in my notice, and I'll see you at another time.
Sing.
This highway does not know my name, and I don't care.
Nope.
No, I don't care. Heading my way for another place, and I got 3 good tires and a spare.
Right to the hook right here.
Just a white line gypsy getting out of Mississippi with just enough gas to get there.
Low budget live, the not so live variety from the Low Budget Live Bar and Grill here in southern Middle Tennessee, being brought to you by Jinko Fishing. And you can use code LBL25 all the time to save 25% off. But their Black Friday sale is going to be, a little birdie told me this, 50% off everything on the website. JinkoFishing.com, 50% off. Also, Pro Guide Battery running some stupid deals for Black Friday. If you're looking to repower that vessel or get you a new charger, make sure your stuff's always the way it needs to be. All right, and it is Thanksgiving week, which, man, for me, it's like, it's just an excuse to be a glutton. You know what I mean? I've actually been watching what I've been eating lately. All right, I've been trying to be less of an unhealthy slob when I'm on the road. But this week the floodgates open. This week you will catch me. If you walk in my kitchen before I go deer hunting about 4:30 in the morning, you'll probably catch me after Thursday having some dessert for breakfast. Okay, pie for breakfast. That's common. Understand? I'm not even giving you a specific pie, because it's just going to be whatever's in there, okay? My wife makes one of my favorite desserts, a 4-layer dessert that my mom used to make. Probably going to have a little of that too for breakfast. Then I'm going to come home in between a morning hunt and an afternoon hunt, come home and get me a little snack. I'm going to take some white bread. I'm going to take some mayonnaise, okay, and some cold turkey, and I'm going to make me a dadgum sandwich. I'm looking more forward to that than the Thanksgiving meal itself. And I know so many of y'all know what I'm talking about. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. I know if you're like me, you got so much to be thankful for in life, even when life gets heavy at times. And certainly the last week of mine has been for a couple different reasons. It was a year since my dad, Marty Duncan, passed away on November 19th. And that was a very surreal day to wake up to. I went and spent the day out on Wilson Lake one of our favorite lakes just in the quiet. I was there before the sun came up and spent the day on the water, just just by myself, man. And had the phone off and caught some bass and just kind of was there. And that's what I needed that day for sure. And it was certainly just crazy to think it's already been here, to be honest. And then, as wild as this is, a gentleman that was always very, very kind to me after I met him and got to know him in the music world. And I know we talk about fishing here, we talk about hunting, we talk about music, but I want to talk to y'all today about a man. This has to be said for me. And I do one of these a week, so I feel like I earn the right to get to talk about some non-fishing stuff every now and then. And there's a gentleman by the name of Walt Aldridge. Walt Aldridge was a hit songwriter. He had, a bunch of number ones, okay? And for me, one of the full circle moments in life, maybe the most full circle moment that I'll ever get to have as far as music is concerned is, I grew up obsessing over a place in Nashville called the Bluebird Cafe. And if you're a songwriter, it's very hallowed ground. And there used to be a show on TBS, Live from the Bluebird. Man, I've watched it as a kid. And, everybody from Garth Brooks to, who wasn't necessarily a songwriter, but Townes Van Zandt, Guy Clark, Steve Earle, so many heroes of mine. And then just these hit songwriters that just kind of wait in the wings, man. They write the songs that you see the country superstars out there singing. And that was what I really pursued for several years there, writing. And I have so many dear friends still in that industry. A couple of them won and were nominated for CMAs this week. And man, it just, love to see that. And I love that world. I love people that make up a song and boom, and it ends up being this massive hit and they're life changing. A friend of mine has a number one right now and just bought a house because of one song. Boom, struggles for years. Boom, buys his first house because of it. That's cool to me. But Walt Aldridge is one of those guys since way back, man, the 70s, 80s, out of Muscle Shoals, Florence, Alabama, just right down the road from me. Went to the University of North Alabama where I went. But he was always somebody I looked up to when I really got into songwriting at an early age. And I got to see him at the Bluebird with a friend of mine named John Huntley. He took me to see Walt. And at the Bluebird, everybody sits around you. You're in the round. And there's not a stage necessarily, at least back in the day. And truly, their slogan is, shh, it's a listening room. Everybody listens to you, man. Like, I wrote this song about this, about that. So I got to see Walt in that environment. And then years later, I actually got to be friends with Walt's daughter randomly. Amazing singer-songwriter, Hannah Aldridge. She's fantastic. And I got to be friends with Hannah, not even realizing that she was this Aldridge, to be honest. And Hannah invited me to play the Bluebird Cafe. And I forget the year, with her dad. And so I got to be in the round with her dad. And I got there very early because I'm anxious and I'm in there tuning up. In this place, you can hear a pin drop. And Walt walks in and he's like, introduces himself. And I'm like, obviously, yes, sir, I'm a big fan. And he says, Luke Duncan, yeah, I see your name on some beer joint signs from time to time. And we had a laugh about that. He said, I see that name around on the highway between Muscle Shoals and Nashville, and which you got to come right through my hometown, right? And that night, after we got through playing, he talked to me about my music, and he invited me to his studio in Muscle Shoals, and he owned a publishing company with another gentleman, and I started writing songs for him. And for a little period of time there before they shut that down. And Walt would include me in so many things, man. At his Christmas party, at his house, and so many music legends would be in the same room. And I'm just a fly on the wall, man. I'm in my late 20s, and just too cool. But Walt was just such a dude, and he passed away on the same day, on the anniversary of my dad, November 19th. He passed away as well, and this week. And so rest in peace to a legend. If you've ever listened to country music, you've heard a Walt Aldridge song, you just probably didn't know it. His last number one was back in early 2000, modern day Bonnie and Clyde, Travis Tritt. It's a long way to Richmond. That was his last one, but he had some Reba McEntire number ones. His first number one was There Ain't No Getting Over Me. Ronnie Millsap. He also wrote I Loved Her First, that Lone Star song. He also wrote my personal favorite, man, Earl Thomas Conley, Holding Her, Loving You. Just a gem of a country song. He wrote Sure Can Smell the Rain, Black Hawk, but Walt had a pen on him now. He had a pen on him, and such a great musician, producer, engineer. But man, I was proud to call him a friend for a number of years there. That he kind of tried to help a redneck from Lawrenceburg, Tennessee out, man. And so I will always be forever grateful for knowing him. So rest in peace to him, and my thoughts and prayers his lovely daughter Hannah, her sister, their family, man. They're a good bunch of folks. And I got to tell this real quick before I move on from this. That night's Bluebird. And there are videos on YouTube. If you search around Luke Duncan at the Bluebird, you can see this night I'm talking about. It's I'm a lot younger man than I am now in these videos, and I have not watched them in a very, very long time. But I played Biloxi Blues that night. We got to play 5 songs, so you go in a round. Truly, someone starts the round and they tell, I wrote this and this and this, and moves on to the next one, the next one, the next one. Everybody listens. And I played Biloxi Blues that night, played several others. And on one of the songs, Walt actually started tapping his foot and playing lead, which was kind of a rare thing to do. And it almost stopped me as I'm playing a song of mine called Searching back then. But anyways, Walt started the round. As I mentioned, we get to play 5 songs. Walt Aldridge played 5 number 1 hits that night. And the rest of us that were there, nobody knew our damn songs, at all, because they hadn't heard them yet. And they were super respectful and complimentary when you get through playing. Everybody claps in the place, but they didn't know them. They knew Walt's songs. They didn't know ours. And wasn't anybody there to see Luke Duncan. But, man, Walt started with Modern Day Bonnie and Clyde that night. He's like, I'll just kick things off since all these folks are Bluebird rookies here with me tonight. And he's very charismatic, great sense of humor. And like I said, the crowd sits literally against you in there. So my mom and dad, a couple friends of mine, they're behind me. And my dad's one of the biggest smart asses of all time. And, he never let you get caught up in the moment thinking you were succeeding. That's for sure, as dads tend to do. Tough love kind of thing. And Walt kicks into the the opening lick for Modern Day Bonnie and Clyde, and everybody in the room knew what it was. And my dad leans into me, and you're supposed to whisper. So he was whispering, and he gets right in my ear and he goes, "You're screwed." So I've got to relive that moment a little bit in the past week. So thank you for letting me get that off the chest, Walt Aldridge. You will be missed just like Marty Duncan will. Absolutely kind of a crazy week, but man, we got out there in the outdoors this week with the kids. We got some deer hunting in. Hudson killed a big buck on the farm I grew up hunting. It's been a great week as well. I think it's okay to go through that and to reminisce, and it's very much okay to miss people that are no longer here. So kind of had that week. Now we're moving into a beautiful week of Thanksgiving here, and getting into some fishing talk before we bring our guest on. If you are not watching, those MLF team events are a blast, man. MLF team series, 10 out of 10. Congrats to Justin Lucas and Brent Ayler on a big dub down there in Louisiana. It's fun watching those guys interact together, man. And you had a crazy event where you had Nick LeBrun, who's from that area. He's fishing with Todd Faircloth, another just absolute fishing hammer. And they had a day where they caught like 77 beggins. Awesome to watch, but in the end, obviously, this weight 0, and we keep moving lakes. And the last round was a little bit tougher, but Justin Lucas, Brent Ayler should not be allowed to fish together, first of all. That's like steroids. But they were able to get the win, and so congrats to them. You can go look the clips up. It's a lot of fun, man. Team series is a lot of fun. All right. One last thing before we get to our guest. It's an interesting. I've seen comments. It's the only reason I'm talking about it here real quick. But this Jaden Parrish deal. Okay, so Jaden Parrish was DQ'd from Lake Okeechobee. And in this world where we are hypersensitive to DQs and polygraphs and things in certain situations, I had Ty Al on last week. I think that deal was kind of insane. Ty's a good guy, no smoke around him whatsoever, ever in life. He's had an immense amount of support because of it, but he was DQ'd, man, and his dream shattered and all that. And this Jaden Parrish deal, though, a little different. And I had people like, you're going to have Jaden on, and I've not decided what I'm going to do there. But Jaden got caught soliciting information at the first Bassmaster Open of the year on Sam Rayburn. He was not disqualified from that event, as he should have been, for trying to gain a competitive advantage. Either text where he's texting, hey, are these fish, are they there, are they here? And he wasn't DQ'd. He was fined by Bassmaster, which I talked about at the time. And it's just, I don't understand sometimes. And I do love a lot of the folks at Bass. I don't understand. But he was fined. Okay, and then you got Ty gets disqualified, Matt Herring gets disqualified, Logan Latuso, KJ Queen, for, all the things, gaining competitive advantages supposedly. And then you've got this deal, he gets fined. Okay, so he was drawn for a random poly at Okeechobee, which he passed. He passed the polygraph. But there was a situation. That situation was someone monitoring the podcast. Jeez, my brain is already thinking about turkey and dressing, y'all. I'm sorry. And 4-layer dessert. The polygraph, someone else was monitoring the polygraph and said, I think he's utilizing some controlled breathing techniques to beat this. Okay? And so they allowed him to fish on the final day. So that's why 11 people fished on the final day. And they were very close. Not that Bassmaster needs any more messes, but they were very close to a massive mess because he damn near qualified for the Elite Series through the EQs. Had that happened, it would have been a little bit messier situation, I can imagine. But anyways, they DQ'd him this week after the event. And not sure how all that shakes out for the people that got checks and whatever. Hopefully they correct everybody's money there. But Jaden was disqualified over this. Passed the poly, but is DQ'd. Now, I'm going to say this. Allegedly, may or may not have bragged to some people that he knew some controlled breathing techniques. Okay, that's what I've been told. Don't necessarily like to spread hearsay. That's what I've been told. Then he was disqualified for that. Obviously, again, a little different for me on the Ty Al thing. Okay, because there's a history there, right? You were already trying to be a little shady earlier this year. You got caught, got punished a little bit, a little slap on the wrist. And then it's like, well, if I get drawn for another poly, can I pass? Is he still doing that kind of stuff? Who knows? But there's a history there, right? Okay, because I had some folks say, well, Ty, in the comments, like, Ty's a nice guy. You're giving him the benefit of the doubt because he's a nice guy. No, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt because he doesn't have any priors, right? You see an old boy that's broke into every house in your neighborhood and been to jail a few times, walking up your damn driveway, you ain't going to be like, hey, Billy, what's up? People can turn their lives around, and I'm not saying they can't. That's where I was at with the Scott Martin thing, right? He took his ball and went home because he wasn't going to pass poly, A. And B, there's a history there. So, because I've had people, man, you let Ty come on and talk. Yeah, because Ty, from all things I know, seems to be a pretty genuine dude. And everybody else I've talked to on this situation that can be super critical in bass fishing believe the same thing. Right? That Ty wasn't trying to do anything. He wasn't trying to do anything. So, anything wrong. So, that's kind of where I'm at with the Jaden thing. I don't know Jaden. All I know is the story from Rayburn and all that. But if it is true that he allegedly, and that's what we're hearing, had some controlled breathing techniques, I don't know, bud. I don't know about that one. So, anyways, that happened this week, and another one bites the dust, man. Another Bassmaster disqualification. And look, it's needed for a crackdown on this BS. There's apparently a lot of it going on, but there are some, I believe, honest people that get caught up in the middle of it as well. All right. And this may be one of the things that we talk about right now with this guest. So this guy, another hero of mine in this industry that I've never had on this show, and he reached out to me this week wanting to have a conversation. And I said, yes, let's do that. Let's absolutely do that. He has won over $600,000 in professional bass fishing. He has been around a minute. He has been a co-host on the Ike Live podcast. He is one of the founders of Bass University, Bass U, which is one of the coolest organizations that has taught, in my opinion, more bass fishermen in-depth techniques to catch bass than anything else we've ever seen. And he is the dean. Ladies and gentlemen, Pete Gluszek. All right, as promised, here he is. He's not in the boat to fall out of, ladies and gentlemen. No concerns for the dean. He's actually in a new ride because Lake Martin has been good to you over the years, Pete Gluszek. But this last go around, it might it's bittersweet, I guess we could say, because you had the truck break down and you've been stuck there for a week.
Hey, I have been stuck, and Lake Martin's been great, but I made it. I got to give my truck credit for that, because my pinion gear started singing before I got to Atlanta.
Oh man.
And you're right. I got my boy and with me, and we're heading down to the Insane tournament, and we're so excited. And with school and everything, we had no window. You know what I mean? There was no room for error, so we left just enough time to get there. No room for breakdowns, and but boy, that pinion gear made it, and it's pretty loud, sounded like a jet engine by the time I pulled into town. But yeah, we got it there, and man, I'm sitting in a brand new ride right now, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I had to I text you this when we were talking about that situation. On my way to ICAST, I guess it's been 2 years ago, I had a truck that was probably 3 years old that I loved, and I delivered an express I had sold, one of my boats, to a guy in South Georgia. So I drove to ICAST instead of flying, and my truck truly blew up on the way to ICAST, but I made it to Orlando. Dude, I was smoking. There was no mosquitoes for like the last 3 hours of the trip. My truck was down there for like 2 months, and I ended up, they fixed it, but when I got it back home, it broke down again. I paid a ridiculous amount of money to have this, like a new engine put in, and I ended up with a new truck over a similar situation, just a truck breakdown. And it's never convenient on the road, man. You've been on the road a lot of years. You certainly know that if it can happen, it will happen.
Oh, tires fall off, engines blow up, but I had an experience just a few hours ago in 30 years of traveling that I've never had before. And it was like I was on the show Cops. Like I was in amongst a chase scene.
Come on.
I promise you, coming into Atlanta, I'm left Lake Martin early this morning. So it's dark. It's like 4 or 5 o'clock, and I'm just approaching the city limits on, I guess that's 85. And, and I'm got the tunes on the new ride rocking, I'm just psyched to get home, eyes forward. And this white car passes me. I'm probably going 75, passes me, I don't know, 100, 150, something. I mean, just zoom, gone. And and I looked immediately, right? Your reaction, look in the rear view, blue lights coming all sides of me. I'm like, I just locked onto the steering wheel, like, oh my God. And the cops just woof, both sides of me, just same speed, just running this car down. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've seen the show.
Yeah.
So I know how this is likely going to end,
No doubt.
And I'm like, man, what do I do? I'm like, man, I better slow down, because I don't want to run up on this thing.
For sure.
Right? What, are we going to have a shootout? So I just slowed down, and about 5 or 10, the blue lights kind of go out of view. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe they pulled off the highway with this chase. And then all of a sudden I come up over the hill, and there's red lights, like the whole of 80 is stopped. Like every car in front of me is stopped. And I'm like, oh no, this is horrible. And then I pull up, and now I'm behind the cars, and there's car parts everywhere.
No.
Like bumpers, pieces of plastic, glass, like just shattered all over the highway. and the cars are stopped. The blue lights, like I'm blocked, but I can see the lights, and everybody stopped, and people are moving through it now, and I'm going with traffic, and I come up on the scene. And unfortunately, man, it's just I pray for everybody that was, especially the innocent bystander.
No doubt.
But there was a sedan, like a car, that the trunk was in the back seat.
Oh my gosh, man.
Like I'm imagining that this speeding car must have rear-ended a car like me. Could have been me. Could have ran right into my rig, you know.
Yeah.
And put the trunk in the back seat, and they were on the left-hand side, pulled over. The car was just there, and then on the right-hand side, I see this white car, and it's smashed, caved in the front, and it's against the rail of the other side of the highway, and all four doors are open, and the police are just standing around it. So I don't know what happened. I hope everybody survived it, but it looked to me like there was multiple people in that white car, and they all took off and were on the run.
Holy cow!
You know,
holy cow!
Crazy.
Pete, this is how I know you're a better man than I. Whenever blue lights are coming up on me, I'm like, oh damn it. They finally got me. I'm like, I start getting sweaty. I'm like, what have I got in here?
Yeah.
I've got a permit for this gun, right?
Yeah, right. Did I remember to update my insurance? Is that good?
Yeah. I started panicking. You're like, I got to get out of these guys' way. I'm like, I hope they're not here for me.
Yeah, right. Oh man,
that's crazy, man. That'll wake you up.
Man, all the years of traveling, and I've seen just about everything, but that was. Yeah, that was the first one.
Yeah, I've never seen a car chase. I've seen definitely seen some interesting situations on the interstate with multiple cop cars around a car, you know, guns drawn. I've seen that a couple times, but I've never seen the actual car chase. And Pete, you've been in one now today. I will admit this to you as a friend. One of my guilty pleasures in life is to sit on my couch and watch YouTube police car chases. So that is something that I will go down that rabbit hole every now and then.
Well, what you're gonna look for is a black Ram Bighorn and a Bass Cat in tow. You'll be able to see it on the aerial, the chopper view. I don't know if I made the show, but that's crazy.
I feel like in today's time, sponsors would appreciate that, Pete. So shout out. I think that Mr. Pierce would love that. Bass Cat. How many Bass Cats have you owned? As fishermen, I think we can all agree that fish are more pressured than ever before. So why not give yourself an edge every time you hit the water with bait fuel? Marinate your soft plastics in it, put it on your spinnerbait skirts, put it on your jig skirts, and use the hard bait stick on your jerk baits and crankbaits to create that scent cloud that's going to drive those fish crazy. It was developed in a lab. It's been proven in the water over and over and over again that fish love bait fuel. Fuel every bite with bait fuel. And when you're out there on your next trip, don't deal with battery issues. You should be running Pro Guide batteries, some of the best batteries in the game. They've been in business over 40 years. They're not a fly-by-night company. They make some of the best AGM and lithium products you will find. And now their new charger line, you have no excuses whatsoever. They got you covered A to Z to make sure your days on the water are spent headache-free when it comes to batteries and chargers. ProGuideBatteries.com. You can use code LBL10 to save some money and let them know you are a low-lifer. Big news from the folks over at Gill Fishing. Their website's changed. GillMarine.com/fishing. GillMarine.com is where you can find all things Gill apparel, like this Meridian hoodie. A lot of hoodies that have a face mask built in are annoying. I'm just going to say it. It gets all up in your beard. It's great when you need a face mask, but when you don't want to be walking around with a face mask all up in here. The Meridian comes with a removable face mask, one of the most genius designs I've seen in a minute. It's becoming one of my favorite hoodies, no doubt about it. Just like their rain suits, their boots, all their gear. Cold weather is here. Get over to gillmarine.com/fishing. Use code LBL20 to let them know you're a lowlifer and save 20% at gilmarine.com/fishing. And last but not least, baitworks.com, bait-wrx.com is where you can find that LOB power finesse jig, 3/0 trocar hook, finer than frog hair skirt material, and it is an absolute bass catcher. Don't just take my word for it. Get over there to Baitworks. Get you some. Use code Duncan-10. Duncan-10 is going to save you cash at checkout on everything at baitworks.com.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe a half a dozen or so by now.
I was going to say, good many, man. A good many of them over the years.
Yeah, of course, I don't know that I'm going to own this one for much longer because my son is he's on me about it every day. Like, Dad, you need a new boat. Why don't you just, I'll take care of this one for you. You can go get a new one,
Yeah, this is what happens to us now, Pete. Now that we've passed on these traditions to our kids, these passions that we have, my boys are like that when it comes to hunting and fishing. And I see so many young guys like that they're obsessed with it, like we always have been. I believe you and Iconelli have always called them fish heads. And now you're raising a fish head there in your house. And man, you guys were down at the Logan Parks, that insane tournament on Lake Martin, a place where you won back in '99, I believe. That has to be a cool moment for you being there with your boy in that tournament.
It was really cool, man. It's like we put the boat on the water. Like you said, we didn't leave any leeway, right? So we got the boat in the water with a borrowed truck, by the way. But for the first day of practice, but we got so we're in the water, and I'm thinking about that, and I'm like, there was a series of points that I had won the tournament on back then, and I'm like, man, back then we didn't have mapping, like we were using the folded maps, and and I'm like, I wonder if I can find it. It's been a minute since I've been on that lake, so. That one of the first things I did was I took my son out and we made a few casts on those points.
That gave me chills, dude. That is you found the points easily, right? There's no way you didn't.
No, as soon as I got there, it all came rushing back.
What is it about the outdoors, whether it's hunting or fishing, and in that case, fishing? We don't forget anything, man. We really don't. My dad, the lakes that we fish now that he's gone, I tell my wife all the time, I'm like, every bank has a memory on it. Like on our home lakes, you know what I mean? Like it's just always sticks with you.
I remember, Luke, and I know you're probably like this, a lot of guys are. I remembered every fish that I caught for a long time.
Yeah, for sure.
Until my hair started to turn gray. And then now it's like I remember 90% of them, but I can't keep track of them all. That's a good thing, right? Caught so many over the years. But what is really cool is kind of the experience now. Like I can't keep all these waterways in my mind. Like I'll be home thinking about it, I'll be looking at maps, preparing. We got a trip to Hartwell coming up, so I'm looking at maps and trying to remember everything. But it's something weird happens when you put the boat on the water. It's like a flashback, like everything starts flooding back in, and you remember brush piles and stumps and rock outcroppings, all these things that you fished from years and years ago, and I couldn't remember them. You like sitting at home. But when you put that boat on the water, it just comes rushing back. And that was amazing. That Lake Martin tournament. I mean, that was the start. Oh, as I lost you there.
You're good.
Sorry about that.
It's low budget, baby.
We don't have our typical tripod with our ring light going.
I was gonna say you don't have Riz anywhere around. It's just Pete on his own. But yeah, the tournament was the start, of everything for me, because, starting in my career, you didn't have social media. You didn't have a method to get your brand and your message out there or what you were doing. So there was only one way to do it, man. You had to get in the winner's circle. That's right.
and you had to wait 6 months for Bass Times and Bassmasters
Yep.
to publish the story, you know. So, but and you know, so you were battling like the Larry Nixon and the Roland Martins and KVDs, and you're trying to get your little name out there. And so winning at Lake Martin was huge for me because it was my first win, and it was down at a body of water that I was brand new to, so it built a lot of confidence for me. Coming from the north, the New York State, and a lot of those places I feel real confident in. So, but coming down to the south, you had to, I had to learn how reservoirs worked, catching spotted bass for the first time, and going through all these new experiences. So, yeah, Lake Martin was pretty. It's a pretty big deal for me,
Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't even think about it. It hit me this morning before we got on. I'm like, that is where Pete won, because you said I have been stranded down here with the truck deal we were texting about, but it just hit me this morning. I'm like, that's the place, because I remember you had a couple of those invitational open wins, but that was the first one, and how cool that must have been. And for you being you've always been a guy that loves teaching. You love sharing the sport, but long before social media, right? Where you get the 1 minute, here's how you tie a Palomar knot, and here's where you go get crankbait, the stuff we see now that just floods social media. You've always cared about passing that on, always. Yep. And that was, the reasoning for Bass University, and it's got to make your heart just full to see so many young anglers in a room like that Logan Park deal, and just know that the resources you've put out there are resources that they're leaning on to this day, and you guys continue to grow that as well.
It's amazing. It's so man, there's so much to talk about there, but everywhere I go, the people usually they're going to talk about two things. They're going to talk about Bass University, how it's helped them, what they, how they're using it, and thanking me. Like a lot of fathers, and I got that, down at Logan's, a lot of fathers and captains and coaches. Man, maybe they were into golf or baseball. They didn't know fishing, but their son found it on, on TV or YouTube, and they wanted to get into it. And the dad's like, I just want to support my son, but I don't. So he goes to Bass University to help, to guide his son and teach him. So I get that wherever I go, and it makes me feel great that, the work that we've done over the years is helping people. It's getting them confidence to go out on a body of water where maybe they weren't confident, to try new things. And so it's been great. So that's one of the two things. The other thing is they talk about me falling in. So there's
hey, look, Pete, everybody loves a good guy falling in the water video, because I can attest to that. Yours went a little more viral than mine did, but I fell in a couple years ago in pretty cold water. It was actually a scary situation, but I edited the clip into 1 minute. I was actually in the water for about 5 minutes and struggled to get back in the boat. The entire clip was pretty, it was me pleading with my boat. The wind kept pushing it over on me. And anyways, but that video went nuts on social media. My kids will still about once a month be like, hey, remember when you did this? Yeah. They love it. So I can imagine you, especially being on Bassmaster Live, man, you definitely took a little dip there, bud. It was, and it's been replayed. Bass has gotten 1 million miles out of that.
They have, and you're welcome, Bass. And
free entries for Pete. Yeah. Come on, Chase.
Come on, man. The only thing that I would advise young people in situations is make sure if you're going to fall in early in your career, so it helps the whole process. Don't wait till when I did it, man. It's like you need that media spotlight early. That's how to do it. Brother.
Yeah, you got to break through the noise somehow, right? I talk about that a lot on the shows. These days with social media, a lot of things look the same, sound the same. Like, how do you break through? Well, that's one way. There you go, kids. Don't manufacture it, though. It's got to be organic. If it's not organic, people are going to know.
That's right.
They're gonna sniff that out.
Yep.
How, something when you reached out and we were talking about doing a show, something I thought about in regards to Bass U, you guys started primarily doing seminars and these in-depth, you get to be in a room with some of your fishing heroes as an angler, as a student with Bass U, as a member. And then you guys evolved. You still obviously do the seminars, but it evolved into you're doing more video work. You're getting out there with guys and learning in the boat with them, and people can find that through your website. How has social media impacted that business? Because you were, again, light years ahead of the fishing industry, in my opinion, on the education of these deep dives on techniques. And we've seen a lot of things come and go, but Bass U is just the staple. But how has this new world impacted what you guys do?
Man, it's changing. It's changing it's even changing now, how we do things. But we started in the classroom, and that was fantastic. And believe it or not, man, it's been 15 years since we had our first class. 16 years. 2009 was our first classroom events, and we're going to be in Anderson, South Carolina, which I just drove by. We'll be in there in January, and we'll also be in Athens, Texas this year. So you can go check it out at bassu.tv and get tickets for those classes. But the classrooms were amazing. The interaction with the students, and we started filming them. We partnered with an amazing production group called Northern Lights, and we started filming ESPN style our seminars. And this is really cool, Luke. We were at the precipice of what are we going to do with this? Like, remember Blockbuster Video?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Are we going to be are we going to make DVDs? Are we going to be on the shelf at Blockbuster? And is that the future? But there was this thing, streaming, that was being talked about. We didn't know what it meant. We didn't mean streaming, and we started looking at what our options were going to be, and we made the great decision back then to start a streaming service, which now it's a lot easier. Heck, I mean, you send me a link on my message, text me a link, and I'm talking to you on StreamYard through this app, right? This didn't exist, right? So we had to create the website. We had to tie into streaming capabilities that were available to us, and make all this work. And we took a risk, because back then it was all DVDs. And so we were like, man, are people going to do this? And then we decided, and people immediately, once we launched it, they started coming to us, and we had all kinds of trouble. Like, man, I'm out in Alabama, and I don't have a signal good enough to digest the content, so I can't be a subscriber yet. And those people, so we had to wait for the technology to get available to all the customers, and it all started building, and it just really allowed us to go from teaching in a classroom to teaching the world. And that was a monumental thing for us, because we knew we had a couple things really good. We had an amazing 5-star production team that was going to deliver the best possible visual and audio experience that could exist. We also had the greatest anglers on the planet. Mm-hmm. That was our and still remains. Like, we select the teachers that are cutting the path, right? They're innovating techniques, or they've mastered techniques. And these are our instructors. We vet them, and we make sure we have the right guys doing that job. So, between those two components, putting them together is just, it was a home run. And, getting into the streaming side of things was a great concept. And I'm super excited, that what we're relaunching, in essence, really this month. It just happened last week. Bass University's new. One of the things that we had to get through some things that produce some things that we wanted to. Everybody's on Roku. So Bass University's got a Roku app. You've got Roku on your TV. You can study us in your living room now.
Man, my wife's gonna hate you.
Hey, we're going to see that a lot. Wives, don't hate us. I promise you, if your man does not have a subscription to Bass U TV, now's the time. It's the best gift you could give him, because he's not going to come home screaming and hollering at the fish anymore. He's going to have a good time out there. He's going to catch a few. But we're on Roku. We're on Amazon Fire Stick. You have that. We got you. Of course, our app has been available on Apple and Android, but it's upgraded now. The search capabilities, the functionality has all been upgraded. And one of the things that we really wanted to give, because people ask for it so much, is offline viewing. So you could download. You could be out in the wilderness and watch. You could be on a plane, watch, and or in the military, you can watch it overseas. So all of those things are new to Bass U, and we just launched all that stuff last week, and we're excited to roll into 26 with all that stuff. In addition, we got something really cool, Luke, that we've been working on, the Winter Circle, which is something that we've been doing for quite a while, but we've dove into. I wanted to dive into showcasing us and giving a platform to some of the winners that you really don't see that much, that are really important to learning, like the BFL winners.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're a big deal. They're creating winning patterns and strategies that are incredible, and it really helps an angler learn. Like an angler that, like, I might be going to Lake Hartwell, and I can get into the Winter Circle, and I can look for winning patterns on that particular lake in different times of year, diving into a Bass U style where no stone is left unturned. You're gonna learn every detail as best that we can squeeze it out of the guys, because sometimes guys like you, Luke, they hide some of the details. The lure colors.
Nobody cares what I'm telling them, Pete. They're like, that guy talks about fishing. He don't have time to fish.
Well, we really try. We work hard to deliver that. And what's cool about the Winter Circle? A lot of times the guys are so excited and thrilled that they really open the book, man.
Yes.
And it's crazy good. I've learned. Oh man. And this crappie breaks, like, they've been DQ'd, and the guys, ways that they're presenting their baits with crappie breaks that I never even thought of to win a tournament. There's just all kinds of things that just blow my hair back that happen in that particular segment of Bass University. So that's new too. So get yourself over to Bass University and get yourself a subscription. Tell your girlfriend or wife that you want this, and if you don't have it, you're gonna love it. So go get signed up.
No doubt about it, man. And I think that, I don't know, I can't express to people enough, if you don't know Pete, and I'm fortunate to know Pete. Pete's been a guy in my life that's been a mentor. You've been a friend, man. You've always been very supportive of whatever it is I'm doing. You've had me on Bass U multiple times. I got to do Ike Live with you several times. I've always enjoyed that. But man, I can't express to people enough the contact list that you guys have for Bass U. Listen, man, and I'm not taking a shot at anybody that's out there posting their selfie video. Hey, this is how you fish a square bill. That's great. But if we're going to do a big swim bait seminar, and I think one of your most popular ones, you guys have worked with Milliken. I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to listen to Milliken on a big swim bait. I'm not going to listen to Luke Duncan. I'm going to listen to Ben Milliken. If I'm going to do a skipping a jig under a dock video, I'm going to go searching that. I'm listening to Gerald Swindle. Okay.
Yep.
I'm listening to Andy Montgomery. I'm listening to some of these guys that are so dialed in, and you guys are great at having these absolute masters of their craft. And if I can give you a nod, go check it out if you haven't, man, because it is, I don't care how good of a fisherman you think you are. Again, like Pete mentioned, the winter circle. And I see that on this show. I don't do deep dives, with folks. If they want to talk technique, I love talking techniques. But on this show, I like to get the personal side. I like to get people's stories, their backgrounds more than anything. But it is interesting when someone has just won. You'll get the juice will sneak out there that normally maybe a more guarded angler might not give you, unless it is Patrick Walters, because he's the most guarded of all time, I think.
Yeah. He's definitely one of, and Koyo, but he uses a secret that he doesn't speak English that very well, or I didn't speak English very well right there.
Yeah,
but,
that's a trick. I think I've heard that's a trick for those guys.
Yeah, well, we got to dive in, and I want to dive in with those guys, and I will. But man, I'm telling you, you can learn from anywhere. I've done it. I've learned from my co-angler million times. I learned from my son. My son, of course, he likes to point out that I'm always wrong, but there's a lot of times, how it is.
Yes.
Being a dad, a father of a teenager, but
yes, sir.
He looks at things differently. He sees what I do and he creates his own strategy. And a lot of times I think, man, well, that's interesting. I've been doing it this way for so long that's really a great way to look at it, son. And I'll learn that way. So you can learn from anywhere, and I encourage you to do that. But when you're coming to Bass U, I promise you that I've done, and my team has done everything in our power to deliver a very, very vetted, powerful piece of teaching that's going to assist in whatever you're already looking at. It'll give you the extra details, and it'll give you a little something extra. And that's what we try to do over there at Bass U.
No doubt about it, man. And I think it's interesting you talk about learning from your son when it comes to fishing, because as the older statesman, we're supposed to know all these things. And I think that's what frustrates me the most about seeing people openly complaining about the youth movement that we see in bass fishing now, because, man, I am very fortunate to get to be around a lot of these young anglers, and the way they look at it is just different than we've ever looked at it, Pete. It just is. Now, that's combined with technology. I get all of that, but man, the way they look at these fisheries, the way they look at our sport is just, it's a breath of fresh air to me. It just is. It's amazing.
Dude, and I don't know. I might offend people by saying this. I love scope. I love forward facing. I love watching it. I love the old techniques. We teach everything, and I just love fishing.
Yes,
and I love it all. But in our and shout out to the New Jersey Bass Nation where we compete. I've seen 8-year-olds out there working with their sonar, bringing in a limit of fish that it might have taken them 3 years to be able to figure out how to do that. And they're able, and they're engaged, and they're jumping out of their skin when they're able to execute on a fish catch. Bringing that enthusiasm to the sport, I think, is amazing, and I absolutely love it. And here's something else that, and I hear some negativity that it's like it's all scope, it's all the forward facing that's making the kids good. I'm telling you right now, Luke, that's just the tool that they happen to be using.
I agree.
These kids are putting in the time that it took me and you 30 years to find.
Yep.
They have high school, nation, and MLF programs for these kids where they're competing against a lot of other very talented kids all over the country at times, or certainly all over their region and state. And they're getting experience like on Lake Martin and Logan Martin and out the Alabama guy. They're making runs to Guntersville. Their circuits are traveling through these classic bodies of water. They're able to look back and see how the pros did it. They're creating their own path, and they're learning at lightning speed because this interaction, like when I started fishing the opens, like it wasn't really welcoming. You know what I mean? You're not jumping right into a group of talented anglers that say, "Hey, Pete, try you're missing this or try this." You know, it's like you got to figure a lot of that out on your own. Now, in the high school, there's still that going on the high school and college teams, but there's a lot of networking
for sure.
You should. Oh man, at the Insane tournament, the banquet, the gatherings there, you're watching the information transfer happening so fast. And the high school kids are fishing with the college kids. Like it was awesome. Shout out to Brooks Parker. He's a senior at Montevallo.
Yep.
And my son practiced with him for a couple of the days. My son was anxious to get me the hell out of the boat. And and he comes back and it's so awesome. He's like, "Dad, you're doing it all wrong." You know,
nobody should listen to your bass teaching, Dad.
And they're so he's learning from a senior at Montevallo and the senior at Montevallo has been fishing all over the country for 4 years. You know, and that transfer of information is happening there. And so let's take it there. So you got all these kids that are competing like we never had a chance to. And then they're sharing that information. Then you got the college kids. I got to tour Auburn University and got to meet their team. I got the tour. We took Jake over to Montevallo as well to tour that campus. And what those guys are fishing all the time, Luke.
Pete, not to interrupt. I got to go to Montevallo. Shout out to my dude Cash Olson from Hawaii, who he and his dad bought my last Express. I delivered it to him down there. They got a boat barn for the team, okay? Like that, I was blown away by Montevallo.
Me too. Yeah, dude, that houses 80 boats in their boat barn.
It's insane.
We've had Easton on the show.
Yeah,
and we were talking about like how are these guys getting so good, and we boiled it down to the boat barn. Like,
for sure,
that's where it happens, man. These guys are in the boats, working on their gear, fixing their gear, and they're talking, and they're exchanging, concepts, and they're pushing each other. Like iron sharpens iron. Like if you're gonna survive at Montevallo, man, you got a bunch of tough kids that you got to go against. So you've got to get better or die, and they just push and they push and they get better. But yeah, the boat barn is where it's at. And then they've got their lodge, and then they've got their meeting space, and these kids are, but this is what struck me the most was like a campus like that. And, there's several other, I'll think of them here in just a second, but their proximity to like, let's use Montevallo, Lake Martin, Logan Martin, of course,
just name it. Yeah.
Tennessee River. It's like, you're just a short drive from all these amazing bodies of water, and they're fishing 5, 6, 7 days a week when they're not in a tournament. So they're going to class, they're getting their work done, and then they're taking off for a lake, and they're working on whatever technique it is they want to work on, spotted bass strategies or largemouth or whatever, and grass fishing. We got a grass fishing tournament coming up. We're going to be going to let's go to Guntersville and prep, and they're putting so much time on. I remember like in the opens, you know, I would try so hard to get time on the water, like, cause you got to work, you got, you know, at the
Yeah.
beginning, and, you know, you're trying to get out there, trying to get on the water. Well, now we've created these opportunities where these kids are, they're getting it done. Lander University, another one. They're
Yes.
sitting there on Hartwell and Russell and Clark Hill and Murray and Santee, all right there,
Mm-hmm.
and as well as Lake Lanier, right? They can
Yep.
just go and get all, and you see it in the results, you know. And you could say, and I know they're really good with the sonar, but it doesn't matter what tool you gave them to work with. Like, they're gonna with that kind of time and commitment, and coaches pushing them and organizing them. um that's why these young men are storming into the top level.
No doubt.
And we're like, man, we haven't seen competitive like this before. That's where it's coming from. I mean, we've built this tremendous funnel of practicing and strategy, and it's boiling down. You get to the top of that funnel, man, you've got some skills, dude.
There's no doubt about it, man. You can't just walk through
Mm.
these opens. I hate to see people, it was like Fisher and I, 19 years old, just won the EQ Angler of the Year. I've known Fisher since he's really young still, because I'm an old man, but I've known him since he was very young. I've known his dad a lot of years. And through the Alabama Bass Trail the last couple of years, man, you just started seeing him. Like, he's just been rising up. And those are not easy tournaments to do well in. He's been in the points race, he and his dad, and now he wins the EQ Angler of the Year race. And you see the negativity that comes around it. And it's like, look, man, if you take forward-facing sonar out of it, this kid is addicted to this. They're obsessed with it. If you tell them the next 4 tournaments they have, the only way you could possibly win it is to go parallel riprap, they're going to go do that every day until they're better at it than I am or you are. Because they're going to go, well, I like this crankbait for that. I've experimented with all these different things. They're just obsessed with it, man. They're obsessed with it. And we have talked for years. We want to grow the sport. How do we grow the sport? Grow the sport, grow the sport. And if we did not have this influx of youth, high school, college fishing, the sport dies, Pete. It just does at some point. It does with us when we move on down the road one of these days, right? It for me, man, I love it. You know, from a competitive standpoint, I don't want to fish against them because they're going to beat the brakes off of me. I'm a sore loser. I'll say it right here. And I think that's where a lot of the negativity comes from. But man, there's a lot of beautiful things going on in bass fishing right now if you pay attention.
And the top 10 where I fell in the water just a couple years ago, in the cut, dude, I'm standing there in the cut. I've been to a few cut meetings over the years, and I'm looking at the faces, and they can barely grow facial hair. Mm-hmm. These guys, they're all so unbelievably young, and it's really tremendous to see that success. But I can tell you, I love it, Luke. I'm not quitting. I entered the opens, or I'll do the Toyotas, and I love it. Me and my son fish. We're actually fishing the Bassmasters National Championship on Hartwell.
That's awesome.
Next week, him and I qualified for it together, so I'm going to do it. What did Clun make it to the mid 70s or upper 70s? It's going to take a lot of medication and injections, and I don't know.
What was it that I think Ricky Bobby said in Talladega Nights? He's like, with advances in medical technology, there's no reason to think that I can't live to like 150 years old. Something like that. So I think we can fish till they put us in the dirt, Pete.
Hey, I'm going to keep at it. I just enjoy it. There's just something like about it. Like I'm obsessed, even still all these years teaching it, doing all this. But when I have a tournament coming up, like my mind just wanders, and it obsesses over former tournaments on that body of water, or possible patterns, or what I see Emil Wagner doing with a shaky head, or that's innovative. Like how can I use sonar to help me, and what part of the lake am I going to fish? And And then when you get out there and you're competing, and you're full of peaks and valleys, right? You're up, you're down. It's the most mentally challenging sport in the world, which I think makes it great. But and I think David Fritz said this is awesome. He says, everybody on the planet should, I'm paraphrasing, so excuse me, but everybody should experience catching in a big tournament a really big fish when you really need it.
Oh, man.
And I mean, there's nothing in the world like it. I mean, your hair stands up, you're so fired up, you're jumping out of your skin, and it's just a thrill that I can't get that thrill in doing anything else.
Me too, man. I get it. And I don't get to fish tournaments that much anymore, just for the fact that I work so many tournaments, and I'm grateful that I get to do that, man. But that has got me more fired up than I have been in years, just because I see I'm around the guys, and I'm seeing these new techniques, and I'm talking shop all the time. But I get as fired up about going bass fishing if I get to slip off on a Wednesday. I'm in here rigging the night before, man, just like I was when I was 19 years old, dude. I just, there's something amazing about our sport, and some of the negativity around it these days. I hope folks can see through that and understand, we got DQs, we got crap going on, but understand there's a lot of good here, man. There's a lot of good.
Yeah. People love it. And really, like, they can consume it right now any way they want to.
Yep.
Through the NPFL, you want to watch those guys battle, the way they do it. You want to, the MLF has a unique format, which we fished at a similar style of format at the Insane tournament, which was the first time I ever tried. I wasn't fishing, but I was watching it and, working with Jake on it. But, and then the Bassmasters are doing, 100% on or 100% off. Whatever way you want to consume it, you can consume it.
Right.
I'd love to see the sport come together on all that stuff, but it's,
I think for an outside audience, right? If we want to grow the sport audience wise, I think that it would be nice to have just hey, this is the regulation. This is what we do. I think it makes it easier to follow. It's not like basketball has a lot of different rules, or football, baseball, that type thing. I think that's always kind of hurt us, right, as a sport, just because every league's just got their own little spin on things. But
well, let me my spin on it, and this is my spin, and I love it. I love the new technology. I love what it's doing for the sport. I love how it's opening young minds. I love how it's helping us understand bait fish movements and patterns and strategies that we thought about. We always said, man, we're fishing for 10% of the fish by fishing on there's and I'm like, we've been saying that for years, but now you can really see what's going on out there. And there's times when that's true, and there's times when it's absolutely not true. And it's learned so much about it. Here's what I would like to see. I would like to see moving forward, because everybody's panicking about, this is the first of many things that are going to, be next. Let's set the mark right here. We got a new technology that's coming into the sport. We're stopping it here. We're going to review the new technology, and we're going to decide whether to allow it or not, whether to apply it or not, moving forward. Whether it's cameras that you can put under there and see fish, or who knows what guys might think of. But if from a technology perspective, I think that's the policy that every tournament organization should adopt, no matter how you do it. Like, if there's anything new coming in, before we allow it, let's look at it, and we'll make a decision on how to move it forward. But that, I just wanted to say that, because that's I'm a teacher, right? I teach people how to be consistent. I teach them how to catch fish. I'm going to teach them using every single tool that I have available to me, to help them be more consistent, whatever that is in any situation. But here's something interesting, because I've been looking at this, and we had Jay Security, phenom.
Yeah,
right?
Amazing.
This dude, like, Luke, I was putting together, like, I'm getting ready to have him on the podcast, and I'm I'm like, well, let me look at his track record. Like, let me compare him. You know who he's in a conversation with? Phil Dance, Roland Martin, KVD. Like, when you're talking about the first 4 years of a season, he's top 10 in the AOY every single year.
Unreal.
And those names that I mentioned previously are the only other guys that you can even put in that category. Then there's great guys like even Chris Johnston, who just 2-time AOY now, but he even slipped out of the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
But guess who? This shocked me as I was doing this review process. I hope it shocks you too. But there was a guy that has been right there toe to toe with Chris Johnston and Jay Securit in the last 3 or 4 seasons. You have any names that pop into your head?
Patrick Walters is
Patrick's one of them. Patrick.
Yeah, Pat has, and the only reason I'm a cheater when it comes to that, I have to do a lot of prep work on Patrick because I have him on live so much on MPFL over the years. But he's never finished below 15th in the Elite Series Angler of the Year race since, and that was his worst finish was his rookie year.
Yes,
which is insane. Corey Johnson,
very good. The Johnson brothers are ridiculous.
Yeah, I feel like Corey's always in the AOI race.
Yeah, let's say, and you know, I had Chris on the other day, and I asked him, how in the world do you guys finish right next to each other in every tournament virtually? It's so crazy. And Chris was telling me that, dude, we split the water so we don't fish on top of each other. And yet for whatever reason, we're always like within 5 places of each other a lot of times in the standings. Well, here's my clue, and this is going to be I hate to give you this dead giveaway. He doesn't use forward-facing sonar.
Oh, John. Yeah.
John Cox is crushing it. Right in the face of all the technology, fishing on the bank, fishing his style, and just going toe to toe with the best in the world for the last 4 years. So it's interesting. It is,
man. It is. John, again, you've spent a lot of time around John, and I've been fortunate to call that dude a friend for a long time, and I'm always enamored when we get to have him on MPFL Live to just watch him attack a body of water because he's just so lackadaisical about it, right? Oh yeah, I'm just gonna go over here and do this, and he's not walking you through the process very often. And the guy's just Keith Carson, who he runs with as well. I've got to watch a lot as well, and those two guys. And, you know, they're former team tournament partners and all that. Them breaking down the shallow water fishery is a thing of beauty, man. It is something. They can just always find something that fits them, right?
Yep.
Like, no matter where you put them, they're going to go, I'm going to go find somewhere to throw a chatter, as they call it, a chatter, a general, a wacky rig general, and probably some form of top water and a swim jig every now and then. But that's just what they do.
Yeah. And John's awesome. I mean, I love that guy. He's probably the most lovable guy in the sport. And he's got such a good always that positive, even when things are going south. I roomed with him at one of the opens on Lake Oneida. And you know, I've known John, and you know, we decided to room together for that tournament, and it was awesome. And you know, he's doing what John does. He's driving to every launch ramp on the lake, you know, and finding the backest of back places. And that's what he's doing the whole time. And me, I'm a smallmouth guy. So I'm, you know, we're not really helping each other that much. You know, we're like, we're coming at this tournament in totally different perspectives. But I started getting on a crankbait bite, which I love. You know, cranking smallmouth is one of my favorite ways to catch them. And I'm like, you know, I'm talking to John. I'm like, well, you know, if you run into trouble, you know, look for these kind of flats or this kind of deal and just fire, you know, like a 10-foot crankbait. And he goes, well, do you have any? And I'm like, yeah, God. I said, what do you like to crank? He goes, well, I don't have any crankbait.
This was pre-Fritz side, ladies and gentlemen. This is pre-Fritz side.
Dude, it was like, it was the a couple of months later, or the next spring is when he won
Right.
on the French side. You
Yeah,
know,
and he had to borrow a cranking rod. He won $100,000. It's one of my favorite John stories ever, man. He's like, yeah, threw it over here and had to borrow a rod because I was throwing on like a 7.6 medium heavy.
Yeah,
Whatever.
that's awesome. I envy that attitude of his,
Sure.
and that mentality, like, because I'm, a lot of us can get spun out or get uptight, like your truck breaks down. I don't know anybody that happens to, but you're maybe your electronics goes south, you lose a battery, the wind switches direction, and you're just, you're fuming, you know what I mean? And with John, it's like, they're 10-foot waves today. He goes, oh, well, they're not that big. I've seen 11s,
Dude, the wind's howling on that side you've been fishing. It's like, I'll just go to the other side.
Just go to the other side, whatever, dude.
I'll just go throw my swim bait over there.
There's a nice pancake place over there on the other side,
As long as he can get a Slurpee. As long as that boy can get him a Slurpee, he's good.
I love it.
That's amazing.
I try to work on that with the kids that I work with, and how to that mental side of this sport can really, and we see, right, you've seen guys melt down.
Oh yeah.
And everybody handles it differently. Like Ike's famous for losing it, but to his credit, that helps him come back quick.
Yeah.
He can break a rod and then get right back into the game.
Yeah.
Other guys, man, you just see them fold like a house of cards. They lose a big fish and they're just spinning out of control now. They're trying to right the ship and they can't seem to do it. KVD, man, I never saw anything like that, dude. I fished with him back in the 1700s when we were both just getting started, and he had a 10-pounder on Lake Eufaula to the boat, and back when we were paired up invitational. Yeah, and I was trying to land that fish for him. I'd never seen a 10-pounder in my life, and it was as long as my arm. He brought it almost to where I could get close to it twice. And then it ran under the boat and the crankbait come flying by my head, and I didn't know what to expect. I think, I would have been furious if it happened to me. And Kevin was just like, boom, next cast, like I figured a way out to trigger a big fish. So that's the positive, right? So I could do it again. I can do it again. Let me get about the business of doing it again. And, that's, that mental side of it, John Cox just seems to be gifted with, and others have to work so hard at it to keep it going. But that's so important, man. Like
one of the most important things. One of the most important, I think, just from watching, being around this, I think those are the guys. That's the separation between the killers and the check getters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can work at it. You can practice that, like with some of the people that I work with and coach. I try to put them and say, how Coach K, Duke, I read his book. They all do it, but I read about him putting game situations like, all right, we're down by 3. There's 20 seconds on the clock. What do we? Here's what we're going to practice, and they practice being down with no time. Practice being down with no time, and that's you can do that on the water. You just put yourself in that situation. I got 4. I need my 5th fish. I got an hour to do it. Can I get that done? Or I just lost a big fish. How what's my move to get back in this game? But that, I feel, on the mental side of things, every single sport you got guys that get talented and they all rise up together. And what separates them is between the ears every time.
Yep. No doubt about it, man. Whatever sport you're talking about. Yeah, you're dead on with that. You see it over and over and over and over. So I always joke with Patrick Walters. I call him the Intimidator. He's like Earnhardt. Like, he takes pride in making you suffer. Like he does. Like he loves the competition element of it so much. And he loves catching
Yeah.
bass. And he takes great pride in the fact that when he pulls up at a tournament, that there are people that are like, oh man, Patrick's here. Like and it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if it's a 10-boat tournament on Santee Cooper at home or an MPFL or an Elite Series, man. He wants to beat you.
Yeah.
And Dale Earnhardt in NASCAR was that guy. Like he was just the dude that he loved like pushing the envelope. He loved raising the bar. And man, Patrick is people that listen to the show, Pete, know that I feel like Patrick doesn't get his flowers in the sport of bass fishing like he should. But I think a lot of that is because he doesn't like social media, which I respect. Like,
and,
you know,
and,
he's just
and
not one of those guys.
And he wears those shorts.
And he wears
those
little
two
tiny
things
biffle shorts.
holding them back.
The biffle shorts for sure holding back. They're holding back a good bit there.
But that's interesting because you're right. The social media thing might be hurting him, but he is so good, unbelievably good. And he embraced the sonar when it first came out, and he was part of that whole team. But he can do it anyway.
Yeah.
And he's just a killer. What do you think it is? What is it that gets him? Is he obsessed like maybe Jacob Wheeler? Like Jacob Wheeler, he can't ever turn it off. He's so obsessed and loves it so much that I guess Patrick's probably that guy too.
He is, but he doesn't fish a ton at home. That's what's crazy. Is he doesn't. He loves to hunt, but he is obsessed with. I feel like he's always talking bass fishing. He's always looking at new techniques, new baits, especially like he's one of those that spending time around him that I do believe that there are secret lures out there. As you well know, they're little tricky things before they hit the masses. He's definitely one of those guys, Drew Cook, that runs with Patrick. They're definitely on that. I feel like they're on the cutting edge, that front line. A lot of times they just buy a lot of crap, right? And you've got to do that. You're like, you see these, whether it's something out of Japan or something out of saltwater or whatever, and they're constantly tinkering just at every lake they go to. And every now and then you hit a grand slam with something that they haven't seen. And those boys are really good at that too. And I think I've talked to Pat about it a lot. It's constantly evolving in this sport. Like the conversation we've had here today, everybody's getting better, man. Everybody's getting better. This youth movement, they're great. They come in swinging, and with live coverage, it's really hard to keep a secret anymore. Yeah. And we're educating. So they constantly try to find that new little or a tweak to an existing bait. They're really good at that too. But I think that it's the competition though that drives him. Obviously he's obsessed with bass fishing, but I think he just dude loves to compete. He's like, yeah, I sucked at that one at that last Elite Series. We'll be together at MPFL. I'm like, where'd you end up? He's like 13th. And it's just, I'm like, what?
That's
what?
bad for him. It's right. He is
right.
He's a killer. But I figured out one of their secrets, Luke. It's Mark's Outdoors down there in Birmingham.
Yeah.
Dude, how you guys been hiding that from the rest of the world? That's what crap.
For that reason right there. Shout out to John Norris down there at Mark's Outdoors. Oh, Johnny boy. Yeah, they keep the goods down there, bud.
Man, oh man. I'm like, I'm seeing pegs full of baits that I can't get anywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, this is why you guys in Alabama are so good. You guys are hiding this from the rest of us.
Yeah, there was a bait down there earlier this year that I walked in, and it was something that was pretty sneaky. We're starting to see it a little bit more now, but it was very sneaky. Like I was threatened over this at an MPFL tournament earlier this year, and I walked in and they had some, and they had several. And I looked at John, who is the fishing tackle manager there, and I said, John, can we put these in the back? Like, I don't think these need to be on the shelf. And he goes, I've sold like 200 of those since January, Luke. It's not a secret. And I went, what? Like, I was mind blown because I thought it was this, like you said, it's baits you can't find. You walk in there and they got walls full of this stuff. But yeah, Mark's is one of those. If you're ever driving down I-65, it's not far off 65, and it is worth the stop in Birmingham. They got what you need there.
And it's so unassuming too. You walk in like, oh, this is a little shop, not. and
just goes.
it just goes, man. You know, all that sneaky stuff that you've been looking for, it's there. And you can't order it, can you? They
No.
won't ship. You got to show up.
No, you got to go there in person. And shout out to Jacob Walker that works there. He just qualified for the BPT this year. He's going to be on BPT next year. And I think Jacob's definitely on the cutting edge of a lot of things when it comes to that JDM world. And I think he certainly assists in, hey, we need to get this, which I am surprised as an angler that he's willing to load the pegs up sometimes with some of those sneaky baits.
No kidding. Well, this points to the fact that I'm an idiot. Like, dude, early, you have to have an arrogance about you in order to compete at anything, right? You got to be got to have a chip on your shoulder. And early in the middle part of my career, I was not like Patrick Walters and these guys that are actively, you know, getting after this stuff. You would bring something new to me, and I would just, nah. I mean, that's stupid. That's stupid. Don't quit bringing me everybody, because everybody's got the new lure that's going to win everything.
Always, yeah.
Yeah. So you learn to like get numb to it, and you be like, you know, I'll let somebody win with it first before I look at it. And I'm like that's a good strategy as a pro. And so you know, they bring lures to me, and I'm like, this is stupid. This is a famous one. This is stupid, man. It's a jig with no weed guard and a dumb blade on the front. This is the stupidest thing I ever saw in my life. And then Thrift goes and starts, you know, crushing them down in Florida. And the chatterbait, did its thing. I did the same thing with a Senko. And just like this, it's a straight tail worm. What, I got a shaky head. Why would I ever need a Senko? You know, but I'm different now, Luke. I'm trying to be wised up.
Me too.
I'm opening up my peripheral. I'm like, all right, let me look at some of this JDM stuff.
Yeah.
Let me look at the different minnows, or, you know, different color combinations, or let me start threading some jig hair through my soft plastic.
Yeah.
You know?
The spider bait craze.
Yeah.
Man, I think that it's just a fun time to be in the sport, though, talking about all that, Pete, like the techniques we get to try now. I've always loved fooling a bass on something different than my regular meat and potato. I'm always going to throw a jig because I'm obsessed with the jig. I'm always going to throw a spinner bait around. I'm always going to throw some kind of top water, but I love finding something weird, especially these days. Some of the creative stuff we've got, it costs me a lot of money. I've got some hanging on pegs that they're not worth having, but every now and then when you find that one that I always say, when a bass bites something so ferociously, and you know what I'm talking about, especially like schooling fish. I've got a lot of little weird schooling fish baits I like, and you know, they'll just ignore you, right, when they're eating the real thing. But when you find one that'll get their attention and they eat it, I always tell my boys this: whenever they start eating it, you go, you know what, they think this is one of what they're after. And when you break through that wall, man, it is the coolest feeling in the world. And so, I'm definitely a sucker for buying a lot of goofy tackle over the years that won't ever get a bite, but I've found a few that are fun. Yeah.
Well, hey, speaking of the funky tackle, I heard a Descript coming information transfer. You may have heard this, but it's first I've heard it. With the spider style baits, with the jig skirt tied in it. The theory that I heard, the strategy behind it is, when a bass is coming out of the egg, you heard it, right? They eat the plankton. They eat I heard it for the first time down there.
Yeah.
And they eat that little plankton. It looks like little jellyfish. And so when they're older and they see that bigger version of it, they can't help but react to it.
Yeah, they're reverting back to their youth. Yeah, I've heard that theory. Drew Cook actually told me that earlier this year. He's like, I know why they bite it. And I was like, why? And he told me that. Yeah, I've heard that one for sure. It's hey, I'm here for it. I love why people reason, the reasoning behind why they do what they do. But to quote the great Gerald Swindle, Pete Gluszek, he goes, it ain't got to make sense. It's just got to work.
It's just
that's told me that a long time ago at a tournament. I was at Okeechobee and I'd found this stretch they were on. Didn't really make a lot of sense to me why they were there. And he called me to check in on practice, and he said, "How's it going, Killer?" I said, "Well, it's pretty slow, but man, I got this one stretch. I've had like 4 big bites on. I went back and kind of expanded on it and had another big bite." I said, "Dude, I don't know why they're there." He goes, "It ain't got to make sense. It's just got to work."
It's just got to work. The proof's in the pudding.
That's right.
Yeah. Shout out to G. We featured G with our release this week. So his
awesome
seminar that he did with us in the classroom is just dropped on Bass University. Download the app, guys. Go to iOS, download the app, get on Roku, and Gerald's there doing it. He's been a great individual in this sport for so many years, a super talent, and then just influencing people in so many different ways, especially with his PMA strategies and talks, and love that guy, and been great for the sport.
No doubt about it. Well, with that, Pete Gluszek, y'all go get on that Bass U app, get on Roku. You're going to get me in trouble through the holidays, I can already tell. But man, I appreciate you, Pete. I told you when we got on here, it's an honor to have you on this show, man. Like I said, you've always been a guy in my court, and you've always been a guy I've looked up to. So this was awesome, and I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving, buddy, and be safe getting back to good old Jersey.
I got the new ride. Thank you very much. That should get me home safe. And thank you for everything, Luke. And look forward. Maybe I'll join you behind the mic at next year's Insane tournament. I'd love to do a broadcast with you, brother.
I'm going to make that happen. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Pete Gluszek.
Thank you, guys.
Well, that's all she wrote with the Dean right there. I appreciate his time, and I appreciate each and every one of you low-lifers tuning in. It means the world to me. I'm very thankful for each and every one of you. I'm going to take you out with some Biloxi Blues. Eat as much as you want this week, low-lifers. Just get wild with it. Send your wife Black Friday shopping. Get out there and go hunting, go fishing, go wild. I'll see y'all next week. See you.
From Jackson Town to Tupelo, I never could make it last. Spanish moss and Civil War ghosts, well, I'm gonna leave them in the past. Any direction, Lord, I'll be fine. It don't matter east or west. North, south, wherever the wind blows, I'm leaving those burdens at rest.